73-degree night of the Big Easy. A day that began with heavy thunder showers has calmed down. Inside the New Orleans arena, it is anything but calm as this city is taken to the surprising Hornets, who have made their way to the second round of the playoffs. Tonight, it's game one of the best-of-7 Western Conference semifinals. The defending NBA champion San Antonio Spurs taking on the New Orleans Hornets. Hi, everybody. Marv Albert along with Reggie Miller will be joined in a moment by Craig Sager. And, Reg, during the regular season, both San Antonio and New Orleans, same record, 56-26. They split the four-game season series. But you look at these two clubs, San Antonio, so more experienced than the Hornets, team that has won 4 championships the last 9 years. What do the Hornets have to do to beat the Spurs?
Well, even though the Hornets are the number 2 seed, they will be the underdog going against the champions. And it's all about tempo. They're the younger team. They're more athletic. They're going to have to run. And Charles talked about it. The Benchmall, Bonzi, Pardo, even the rookie Julian Wright. How are they going to hold their own against Manu and the veteran Spurs? And obviously, it's the heavyweight fight. Chris Paul versus Tony Parker. Chris dusted off the Hall of Famer to be in Kidd. Up next, the 3-time champ and last season's Finals MVP, and Tony Parker.
Let's take a look at the McDonald's starting lineups for the Spurs. Parker coming off that blistering first-round series against Phoenix. Tim Duncan averaged 25 and 14 in the opening rounder. Duncan on the front line with Kurt Thomas and Bruce Bowen. For the Hornets, Chris Paul, following a magnificent regular season, came up with that dazzling playoff against Dallas. Up front, Tyson Chandler, David West, and Pedro Stojakovic. Now, prior to the Hornets taking the floor, their head coach, Byron Scott, addressed his ball club.
Pretty simple. This is what they got. This is what we want. And we have a chance to do something real special this season. And we do. You know, this is another team that's basically in the way.
Let's get it. Hornets on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hornets!
Byron Scott speaks from much experience. Played 14 years in the NBA, a member of 3 Laker championship teams. The officiating crew, headed by N.F. Rush, working with Mike Callahan and Mark Davis. And the ball is slapped out of bounds. Now, this crowd will stand until the Hornets score.
Well, does that mean that we should stand as well?
I was going to suggest that you stand. I will remain seated.
Well, very much like a college atmosphere here. Byron Scott and his whole coaching staff have to be proud of everything that is going on here in the New Orleans basketball community.
Kurt Thomas, rebounded by Mo Peterson. And Chris Paul sets things up. David West, played by Kurt Thomas. West, the tip missed, and then Chandler with the first bucket of the night, and everyone sits down.
Well, second shot opportunities early for the Hornets, something that Greg Popovich does not want to see. That was one of the big things that he had an advantage against the Dallas Mavericks.
Here's the double on Duncan. Finley for 3. And Chandler gets to it. Well, Greg Popovich telling us earlier about Chris Paul, saying that it's an organized playground that Paul is able to set up, and he does not want to allow that. Here comes Parker, stopped by Paul momentarily. What a great matchup this will be.
Well, you know, on the defensive end, there's going to be a lot of great matchups. And you have Bruce Bowen, one of the better on-the-ball defenders, going against Chris Paul, and you've got Kurt Thomas against David West.
Duncan rims out, Stojakovic with the rebound. All stopped by Bowen in the lane. West able to go behind the back. Chandler comes up with it, and they can reset.
Tyson Chandler being very active in the early going of this game on the offensive glass for the Hornets.
San Antonio Area opening with Bowen. On Paul, here is Stojakovic. Chandler with another rebound. Stojakovic trying to back Finley. Peterson, yes. Oh, Peterson from downtown.
Well, you get second shot opportunities. That's too many weapons to give Chris Paul because of the shooters, Peja Stojakovic, and right there, Mo Peterson.
And Peterson, a dangerous three-point shooter. Parker able to get into the lane. And kept alive by the Spurs. We are just underway with 3 minutes gone by. Spurs 0 for 4 from the field. Bowen lost it. Here comes Paul. He turns Parker around, finding Stojakovic. Yes! Stojakovic from downtown. It's an 8-0 lead for the Hornets, and Greg Popovich takes a timeout.
Well, I don't know if Byron Scott could have scripted this any better to start this second round. You come up with a steal, and you find one of the most lethal shooters in the game today. Peja for 3. Hornets up by 8.
The 2008 NBA playoffs on TNT, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. With Southwest Airlines, you're free to be more productive. Visit southwest.com today. By DirecTV, get over 90 of the best channels in HD now. By the KFC Snacker, Big Taste, Small Coin, and available in 4 delicious flavors. Grab one and go for just 99 cents. Life tastes better with KFC. And by Sprite with Lyman.
Get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs.
Back at the New Orleans Arena, time for the Gatorade Around the Cooler Report. Let's go to Craig Strager. Craig.
Well, Byron Scott knows his team is young and inexperienced, particularly when compared to defending champion San Antonio Spurs. This is why he brought those 3 rings in that he won as a player and put them on display in the locker room. He told his team, listen, guys, I was young and inexperienced when I came into the league. I won 3 of these my first 5 years with the Lakers. There's no reason why you can't win one this year. Look around the room. Think of the opportunity we've got. Look at the rings and think of what we want to get. Visualize, keep your eye on the prize. Mark?
Reggie, I'm just amazed that Byron trusted Craig with possession of those championship rings.
It looked like there was some security right behind Craig, just to make sure they got back in the proper hands.
Hornets off to an 8-0 lead. The Spurs struggling. They missed their first 4 shots. Here's Finley for 3. And another rebound for Tyson Chandler.
And that's his 6th rebound of this game. 4 of them on the offensive end for Chandler.
You look back at the season series between these 2 teams. As I mentioned, they did split. Here's the lob for Chandler, who was met by Parker on a mismatch. Chandler able to tip it right back out. And the 2 victories for the Hornets over the Spurs were both blowouts. One in San Antonio. West rims out. Another offensive rebound.
And if I'm Greg Popovich, I cannot be happy with my team's effort right now on the defensive glass.
Stojakovic for West. The pass deflected and picked off. Here comes Parker. West is back. Parker is fouled.
And that's one thing Chris Paul is going to do whenever there's a changeover, a long rebound. And speaking with Byron Scott, he said Tony Parker is a one-man fast break. Transition defense was going to be huge for us. We have to get back and contain Parker.
Foul committed by Paul. Tony Parker says he's a bit worn down for the long season. Said the hot tub is his best friend these days. We can all relate to that.
Yes, we can.
He averaged just under 30 a game in the series against the Suns in the first round, including that 41 40-point outburst in Game 3. 41 points, a career high for Parker.
It was funny because Byron Scott said he's a younger version of a Jason Kidd. And, you know, I spoke at the Open that Chris Paul kind of dusted off the future Hall of Famer Jason Kidd as Mo Deep comes off the screen and nails an 18-footer. But one thing Tony Parker is going to do against Chris Paul is put pressure on him offensively, and he's going to be relentless about it.
Bowen is open for three. He loves the corner three. Chris Bowen did not do much scoring in the series against the Suns, but as always, did it at the defensive end. And in terms of the intangibles, Bowen did an excellent job at a couple of key plays in that series against the Suns. Here's Ginobili, who just came on with a driving hook.
That's going to be another concern for head coach Byron Scott, is matching up with the energy of Manu Ginobili coming off the bench. And Tim Duncan comes up with the steal.
Duncan took it away from Chandler. Here's Duncan. Draws the foul in the act, says the official, Mike Callahan. So Greg Popovich came out of the timeout, making changes. Manu Ginobili checking in. Fabricio Oberto is in, as you see Duncan. Crowd wanted a charge on Duncan, but he will go to the line.
Well, that's a tough call right there because it kind of looked like Chandler was still transitioning his feet. Wasn't quite at the spot yet.
Tim Duncan has come a long way at the line this season. Shot 73% at the free throw line, a marked improvement. A reminder, national coverage of the NBA playoffs continues tomorrow on ABC. Game 7 of the Hawks and the Celtics, followed by Game 1 of the Jazz and Lakers starting 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then Monday, here on TNT, a pair of Game 2s, the Magic and Pistons, followed by the Spurs and Hornets. Coverage starts 7 o'clock Eastern time, and playoff action continues on ESPN on Thursday.
But, Marv, you won't see a lot of fouling from both of these teams. They're both outstanding defensively. The Hornets #1 in fouls against their opponents. The Spurs #2.
Here comes Ginobili. Nice lead for Parker. Oh, what a move! Where did he find the space to get it off?
Against the bigger Peterson as well.
Paul popped one up, rebounded by Duncan. So after the slow start, the Spurs have turned it. The game is tied just past the halfway mark of this first quarter.
Well, nice early timeout by head coach Greg Popovich. Inserts Manu Ginobili, kind of gets the reins of this game a little bit.
All in scoring the first 8 points. And that led to the timeout. Stojakovic, yes. That's his second field goal. He has 5 points. An outstanding season for Peja Stojakovic, among the leaders in three-point shooting. Hit one earlier. Here's Parker. It's deflected out. Last touch by the Spurs.
Well, you talk about Peja, only 13 games last year, played 70-plus games this year for the Hornets, but it gives Chris Paul another option offensively when you've got 2 shooters and Peterson and Peja on opposite ends of the court. It helps out.
Stojakovic making a return from back surgery. West to the drive. Yes! And the foul. So West, who missed on his first 4 shots, perimeter dots, able to do it off the dribble and a possible 3-point play.
Well, I don't know if Alberto's going to be able to stay with David West. I thought Kurt Thomas was probably going to be the best defender on him because he can move his feet. But if you're going to force David West into the middle, that gives him too many options. You've got him forcing baseline, which that is the Spurs' MO, and you want Tim Duncan to come over and rotate and help because it's going to take 2 guys to guard David West.
David West, an all-star for the first time. He averaged 20 a game, a breakout season. And Reggie, a guy who's come a long way. He averaged 3.8 per game. That's 3.8 points as a rookie. That was 5 years ago. And now he's at 20 and 9. Apparently blood coming from the wrist. Tyson Chandler. This is a New Orleans team that went 56 and 26 in the regular season. One of the major surprises of the year as they finished second seed in the West. behind the Lakers, jumping from 39 wins a year ago, finishing out of the playoffs for the third straight season. 3 years ago, the Hornets 18-64. And here they are in the second round of the playoffs after knocking off Dallas in 5. The Hornets' first playoff series victory since back in 2002 when they eliminated the Magic in the first round. Parker lost his balance, able to recover. Here's Bowen again for 3. That's his second from that right-hand corner.
And Parker's doing an excellent job of getting into the teeth of the defense, sucking them to him, and finding a wide-open Bowen for the short 3.
Stojakovic with room for 3. Rebounded by Bowen. Parker and Ginobili now in the backcourt. Duncan, Alberto, and it's rebounded by West. Stojakovic set up by Paul. And here's Parker held by Peterson.
Like we said, Tony Parker is going to put a lot of pressure, especially in steals and long rebounds and fast break situations. If I'm the Hornets, in transition defense, you've got to get back low to the basketball, create a wall, and build yourself out from that wall.
Now Bonzi Wells comes on for Mo Peterson, who leads with 5 points. Bonzi Wells, very familiar to the San Antonio Spurs. A couple of years back, as a member of the Sacramento Kings, he had a sensational series against San Antonio. Ginobili for 3.
In that Game 5 situation against the Phoenix Suns, speaking with Coach Greg Popovich, he really thought that Ginobili was really pressing too much in that game. Forced a lot of shots. Popovich is expecting a better series from Manu Ginobili. Right here, the double down on Parker. Finds a wide open Ginobili from beyond. And this is going to be a theme for this series because they are going to take the ball out of Tim Duncan's hands. And it's up to Barry, Bowen, Ginobili to knock down shots from the outside.
Alberto on that foul. He sits down. Robert Horry has come on. Jacques Vaughn has checked in for the first time to San Antonio. Here is West. Strong move by West going right at Horry. Hornets up by 1. Duncan lost it. Comes back to Vaughn. Here's Ginobili for 3.
The crowd here was wanting a foul on Robert Horry, going into the path of that loose ball rebound from Chris Paul.
Bonzi Wells looking to post up. Horry with the rebound. Marv Albert with Reggie Miller, Craig Sager. We're at the New Orleans Arena in the Big Easy. A capacity crowd on hand. That's been the story in recent weeks for the Hornets. Ginobili able to recover, finding Duncan.
Crowd wanted to travel out there, but official hand Mike Callahan said that Ginobili never had control of the basketball.
Spurs have taken a 21-17 lead. Byron Scott taking a timeout. So San Antonio able to settle things down. Hornets scoring the first 8 points. Greg Popovich took that early timeout, and the Spurs have come right back. Greg Popovich has led the Spurs to 4 NBA titles in his 11 seasons as head coach. Recap of the Spurs season. They started out at 17-3 and then dropped off slightly when a couple games under the 500 mark. 15-9 when one of the big 3 misses a game. This is the Spurs' 11th consecutive playoff appearance and looking to repeat as the NBA champs. They have won the 4 championships the last 9 years, but they've never done it back-to-back.
Well, you take away that and one that Bruce Bowen had on Dirk Nowitzki. You take away Derek Fisher's desperation shot at the buzzer against the Lakers, and that's 2 more championships right there. So that's a little bit skewed right there. This is a team that everyone models themselves after on and off the court.
But we are really looking at it at a very fine line. You say, well, they never did it back-to-back, but they won 4 the last 9 years. Not bad. Coming up on 2 minutes to play in this first quarter. Spurs up by 4. West doing it against the double.
But we know they're going to double Tim Duncan down low. The question is Greg Popovich going to allow Robert Horry and Alberto and Kurt Thomas to play David West one-on-one?
Ginobili's have a hot hand. Again hits from downtown. Manu Ginobili with 11 points. That's his 3rd 3.
5 of 8 for the Spurs from beyond the arc. They're 11th in the league in 3-point shooting this year.
Good hustle by Vaughn. Here's Paul back. Vaughn goes at him and try to kick it out. Broken up by West. Ball directing traffic. Now being played by Ginobili. West. Little teardrop from David West.
Well, after getting off to that slow start, it seems like David West is really starting to find his groove, and probably along maybe Antoine Jamison. These players at similar size shoot at very awkward angles.
David West has worked on his complete game. He seems to come back with something new every season. That's a kick ball. And they reset the clock. 14 on the shot clock.
Him playing at Xavier University, I had a chance to, when I was in Indianapolis, to watch a lot of his games on TV. And this is a player who he's put on some weight, and I was questioning what position was he going to be able to play at the next level. Was he going to be a small forward, or was he going to be a power forward? And I think him putting on the weight really has helped his game mature a little bit.
David West now goes 6'9", about 245. Final minute of this first quarter. Horry for 3. Rebounded by Wells. 12-second difference. Oh, West saw it was wide open and he blows the stuff. He could not believe he had that open lane. And now a 5-second differential as this first quarter winds down.
Easy dunks. You always dunk with 2 hands. If you think you're going to have contact, that's when you use 1 hand.
Shot clock to 4. Down to 2. Here's Bowen. Oh, a fling from the other side from Bruce Bowen. It's another 3. Final seconds of the quarter. Paul somehow gets all the way down court with 0.2 of a second left. Chris Paul showing his speed as he was able to dribble drive against 2 or 3 Spurs for that last second bucket.
Well, after Bruce Bowen's desperation 3, Chris Paul splitting the Spurs with time running off the clock for the lay-in.
A look at Bourbon Street in downtown New Orleans as we welcome you back, and it's time now for the Coach's Corner presented by the Bill Engvall Show on TBS. Here's Craig Sager with Greg Popovich.
Well, Coach, 4 minutes into the game, you're down 8-0, but you have the luxury, I guess, of having the 6th man of the year, Manu Ginobili, to put into the game. How did he change things so quickly?
Well, you know, we made shots. He came in, I think he made 3 threes, and 3 threes that quickly changes a game.
Bruce Bowen also making the threes, that last one in front of you. Is that because they're paying so much attention to Tim Duncan down low that your perimeter is open?
Well, you know, they're doubling Timmy, so we got to make shots.
All right, head coach Greg Popovich, we might have a slight delay here because apparently, and I tell you someday, there is going to be a major problem. The mascot for the Hornets looking to dunk through the ring of fire, and apparently the ring of fire was not extinguished, didn't go out, okay? And they had to use the fire extinguishers.
Well, my question is, didn't they practice this before? I mean, what idiot came up with this that's going to delay this game and possibly hurt one of these players out here, because the floor is slippery now as they're trying to mop up or sweep up some of the residue that was on the ring of fire. What department would someone drop the ball in that department here in New Orleans?
Reggie, we have seen variations of this in various arenas around the NBA, either as part of the introductory ceremonies or during timeouts. And it is so ridiculous because someday there's going to be a major accident that takes place. And I don't understand why they keep doing this. And we almost saw one right here.
Well, I do not argue with you on this, but I think this is a plus for the New Orleans Hornets. As hot as the Spurs have been shooting, 6 of 10 from long distance, playing fantastic, it kind of cools them off a little bit. If I'm Greg Popovich, I'm a little upset with the delay here.
And he is more than a little upset. Let's go to Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, Marv, obviously this was not planned. I talked to Josh Richardson, who's the senior director of game operations for the Hornets. And I said, how often have you done this? He goes, we do it once a year. I said, did you have a rehearsal? And he goes, yeah, we did it on Friday. There were no problems. Apparently it was only supposed to be CO2 that came out of the fire, but instead, obviously something malfunctioned. They are embarrassed, totally surprised, and it is not something they've been doing. But this is the first time that they've done it, and it's going to be a major delay because they can't get the stuff off of the floor right now. So maybe if I can get a broom, we can maybe help them up. As a former mascot myself, pulling off dumb stunts like this. Bart?
I would encourage it, Craig. It's a 27-23 San Antonio lead over New Orleans. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Okay, time to get back to New Orleans Arena. That's an encouraging sign as we send it back to Marv.
All right, thank you, Ernie. As you see, both clubs are back on the floor going through a second warm-up as they prepare for the second quarter. And it appears that they have cleared the powder and the water off the floor, and hopefully it is not dangerous to continue or resume this game.
Well, looking at the powder that was on the floor, it kind of looked like rosin. And a lot of these players use rosin to put on their hands to make sure the ball doesn't stick to it. So it's a very dangerous situation, as Charles was alluding to, because these guys can slip off one of those little particles, twist an ankle or a knee.
Have you ever experienced anything like this?
Not a delay to this magnitude. I think after the big incident that we had in Detroit with the brawl, when we went back there for the first time later on that year, there was a bomb threat and so forth, and guys, you know, both teams really didn't want to participate. That game really didn't get started until about 10 o'clock at night, where it's supposed to start at 7:30.
Well, after one, as some of you may recall, let's see, we've been waiting about 20 minutes since the end of the first quarter. The Spurs do have a 27-23 lead. Manu Ginobili coming off the bench, playing 7.5 minutes, has hit 4 of 4, 3 of 3 from downtown for 11 points in all.
Well, Greg Popovich said they're probably going to take the ball out of Tim Duncan's hands, and it's all about our perimeter guys making shots. Ginobili 3 of 3 from long distance. Bruce Bowen getting it going from the short three-point line. So it's going to be on these guys. Would they take the ball out of Tim Duncan's hands for them to make shots to make life easier for Tim Duncan down low?
Now let's check it with Craig Sager once again. Craig.
Well, Marv, I talked to both coaches to see how this 20-minute delay may affect their team, and Greg Popovich is very worried. He said that his team was fairly hot at the time. Manu Ginobili had a good rhythm. He wanted to stay loose, so instead of staying out here on the court, he went back into the locker room to try to keep limber, to try to keep loose. He said, however, it should be fair for both teams. I talked to Byron Scott, and he said, you know, it's fairly good for us because they were on quite a roll, and perhaps this will stop their momentum. So he's going with the punches, thinking that perhaps it may aid his team. Mark?
All right, thank you, Craig. And the second quarter is now underway. Gennaro Pargo has come on, as Melvin Eli and Julian Wright. Duncan with the rebound, and back come the Spurs. Parker bottled up. That's deflected out. Last touch by the Hornets. For those of you keeping score at home, the official delay 19 minutes.
And I agree with Charles. You know, when you hit 32, 33 years old, starting and stopping is tough. And when you were 25, you could take a 20-minute delay, you know, because that's what you did in pickup games. If you lost, you were on the side for about that long, ready to go again when your name was called.
Duncan is now played by Eli, who at one point, for a brief period, did spend time with the Spurs. As Pargo has had a terrific season off the bench. West played by Thomas. Pass intended for Pargo. Bad pass. It's Parker on a crossover. Beautifully done by Tony Parker. So the Spurs now lead by 6. Pargo and Wells are in the backcourt. And Pargo's pass through the hands of West.
Like we said, we thought the Spurs were going to be affected by this delay. 2 turnovers by the Hornets and missed shot. They seem like they're a step slower than the Spurs.
San Antonio with his biggest lead of the night. A minute and a half gone by, second quarter. Duncan rebounded by Wells. This is game 1 of the best of 7 Western Conference semifinal series. Game 2 here in New Orleans on Monday night. Pargo with a runner. Last touch by Eli. And now Bruce Bowen will come back for San Antonio. Peja Stojakovic checks back in, replacing David West, who leads with 9 points.
You know, Mark, the magic number really for both of these teams is 45% plus. When both teams shoot 45% or better, the Spurs are 40-6, and the Hornets are 44-5. So as Tony Parker with a little teardrop, you want to shoot well. And right now, the Spurs shooting 50% in the second quarter already. What are the Hornets shooting? 37%.
Spurs have an 8-point lead. Pargo and the Hornets are having their difficulties. Wanted to travel, but Parker lost it. Here comes Stojakovic with Thomas back. Foul is committed by Thomas.
And I can't remember the last time Tony Parker really stumbled on a move like this. You kind of have to ask yourself, is this floor still a little bit damp? Or you see right here the nice move by Tony Parker, and on one of his routine moves, he's slipping, falling to the floor right here. And it's not like Pargo knocked him off balance at all. He's just falling, and you got to wonder, is the floor still a little damp from the resin from the CO2?
Combination of powder and then water on the floor. So 19-minute delay following the ring of fire that backfired.
I think Hugo might be banned from the Hive for a little bit after that stunt. Queen Bee's going to kick him out. That Hornet's not coming back. I could keep going on and on.
I know, killing Hugo. That might have been his fault.
It wasn't Hugo. I'm playing with you, Hugo.
Crowd reacts to Julian Wright, who came away with that loose ball.
Well, the crowd is trying to get back in it. That 19-minute delay kind of set them back as well.
Stojakovic, he was trying to draw the foul, but Bowen stepped away. New Orleans missed its first 4 shots. That's their first field goal of the second quarter. They are within 4. Timeout is taken by San Antonio. One more look at your favorite mascot, Hugo. This did not work out well.
Boomer in Indiana would have done that.
And it makes a fiery ring. How wild is fire.
Can we just go in the locker locker room right now. We'll come back out and warm up again and then start the second quarter.
It'll be a half an hour.
Sorry about this, Pop.
No, just blame it on me, Eddie, and too.
No, it ain't your. This is the one thing that ain't y'all fault.
Byron Scott telling the official, Mark Davis, well, this wasn't your fault for a change. On the right, the reigning NBA Coach of the Year. On the left, a one-time Coach of the Year. Although you can certainly make an argument for Greg Popovich nearly every season for Coach of the Year honors. 31-27, San Antonio. And away from the ball, the foul is called on Eli, trying to get position on Duncan.
Well, it looked like Eli was trying to get around front, but Duncan would not let him as the ball was being swung. Duncan going from block to block and kind of got caught on that left hip right there.
A non-shooting foul. Melvin Eli in his 6th year out of Fresno State. Parker comes up short, rebounded by Wells. Wells and Pargo in the backcourt. Stojakovic, White, and Eli are up front. Julian Wright, the rookie from Kansas, who has been getting more and more playing time at the end of the season and during the playoffs. Stojakovic lost it. Wright with the recovery. Julian Wright, who has a lively body and has contributed, as I mentioned, during the playoff run. Finley, yes. 33-29 San Antonio.
Looks like that delay has not stopped the outside shooting of the San Antonio Spurs.
Spurs at 50%. They've hit 12 for 24. Here's Wells to the reverse. Duncan went down, as did Pargo. Parker was pushed and looked like he hit his head on the floor.
And right now, official Mark Davis is calling for the crews to come back out here because the players keep slippering. And it's, like we said, I was wondering, is this floor still safe enough to be played on? Because like we said, that CO2 powder form is a lot like rosin. And you see right here, they come up with the steal, and we can understand why Parker went down, but if you went back a little bit further, Tim Duncan was slipping, going down. Right there, you see Pargo at the half-court center, not being able to get his traction. So now the game operation crews are back out here, mopping up, trying to dust off the remaining powder that's on the floor here.
And during the halftime break, they may have to take extra time to make certain that the floor is playable. As you mentioned, Parker was pushed. That wasn't the result of the slippery floor. And Duncan also took a shot, but the official Mark Davis felt that there were some slippery spots, so he took that time out. 5 minutes gone by here in the second quarter. The Spurs are up by 2. Here's Duncan. Shot blocked. Back comes Pargo. Players also have to be tentative, a little wary as they move up and down the court. Stojakovic banks it home. 11 points for Stojakovic, and the game is tied at 33.
Well, I like how he's not settling for that outside shot, taking Bowen off the dribble.
Bowen, oh, he is pulled down. That's a hard foul.
And now I think the officials will talk about this one, because you got to ask yourself, was Bonzi Wells really trying to block this shot? Here's the move by Bowen going baseline. And was he trying to make a play on the ball or not? You know, from that angle, it's hard to tell, but, you know, that is right around the face chin area. And that is supposed, anything that's above the neck area is supposed to be an automatic flagrant foul, ball on the side, and it's up to the officials to make sure if it's a flagrant 1 or a flagrant 2.
And they have called a flagrant 1. Bowen is obviously shaken up. San Antonio trainer Will Seventy out to take a look. Chris Bowen, not a popular figure here in New Orleans. You may recall he received that 1-game suspension for kicking Chris Paul during a Spurs or Hornets game back in mid-March. A win for the Hornets by 25. And at the time, Paul incensed by Bowen's actions. We'll take a look midway through the third quarter of this game between the Spurs and Hornets. And incredibly, a foul was called on Chris Paul. And as I said, Bowen suspended for the next game, which, as it turned out, ended his consecutive game streak at 500.
Well, you can say what you want about Bruce Bowen and about all the little tactics and dirty tricks that he plays. He played my position. And he's one of the hardest working guys that I've ever had to go against. And some of the things sometimes questionable, yes. But one thing that Greg Popovich and the Spurs can count on is that he's going to come to compete and play hard each and every night.
Would he get you going?
But he wasn't at the level he is now defensively. That he is now. So I was a little bit older, a little bit more craftier than he was. But we had our moments when he was under Pat Riley in Miami for a little bit. But he's a hard-nosed player, and I like those kind of guys. He's really improved. Offensively, he was challenged when he came into the league. Pop says if you got to work on your outside shot if you want to remain honest and enforce on the floor.
Well, he developed that corner 3, which we have seen here in the first half. Chris Paul is checked back in. Coming on for Wells. Here's Duncan. Rebounded by Wright. Spurs up by 1. Paul with the lead for Chandler. They work that play so well.
Well, they're #1 in the league in alley-oops between 2 players, Chris Paul and Tyson Chandler. Greg Popovich doesn't mind that so much, but he doesn't want to see it a lot because they really want to make Chris Paul a scorer. They don't want him to have 35 and 15 assists.
Ginobili. That's his first miss. He hit his previous 4 shots, including 3 from beyond the arc. Paul. Ginobili broke it up. Nice play by Manu Ginobili. Parker going at Pargo. There's Bowen open again for 3. That's his 4th 3-pointer. Bruce Bowen is the high point man for the Spurs with 13.
Well, he didn't have a lot of scoring opportunities in round 1 against the Phoenix Suns. Maybe he's making up for it in round 2.
Bowen again sets his feet this time, gave it up to Finley, and he hits the 3. The Spurs red hot. From beyond that 3-point line, they are 8 for 13.
Well, like we said, the Spurs in 3-point percentage, 37% on the year. And both Bruce Bowen taking a shot to the jaw earlier, spotting behind the line for his 4-3, and then right here he pump fakes and finds Michael Finley in transition for the Spurs' 8th 3-pointer in this first half.
Just under 5 minutes remaining in this first half. The Spurs with a 40-35 lead on the Hornets right here. Let's take a look at tonight's Fresh Faces presented by Wendy's. And 2 players, both under the age of 23, have helped lead the Hawks to a Game 7 against the Celtics. Rookie Al Horford averaging 13 and 10 over the first 6. How about Josh Smith? 17 points a game, plus 3 blocked shots, as they head to a Game 7 in Boston tomorrow afternoon.
Who do you think their pressure is really on in that series, Marv? You think Doc really thought that this was going to be 7 games against the 37-win team, Atlanta Hawks? Wow. That's why you play the games.
Here's David West, who just returned, blocked by Kurt Thomas. Thomas left open. And back tap by Alberto. Kurt Thomas, upset with himself, usually is able to hit that medium range jump shot. For three. They continue to leave him open, and the foul off the late reaction. Bowen with 16 points. He's hit 5 from downtown.
Bruce Bowen out here looking like Ray Allen, Dale Ellis combined from beyond the arc.
The foul on Paul, his second. Paul closed out, but was very late, setting up a potential 4-point play.
And coming into this series, the Spurs' big three, they averaged 72 points against the Phoenix Suns, and everyone's wondering what's going to happen against these New Orleans Hornets. Was someone else going to step up? Bruce Bowen tonight, 17 points, being one of those guys.
Paul with a nice fake. 7-point San Antonio lead. Spurs now 9 of 14 from 3-point range. Parker with room. And the Spurs are getting a host of open shots.
Well, they're back to that 50% shooting from the field.
Alberto on the miss by Paul. Thomas trying to get it to Alberto, able to recover. There's Bowen again for 3. Well, that just caught the net.
He would have made that. It would have might have been time to call it a game.
Paul could not hit. Handled by Ginobili. Chris Paul only 2 of 6 from the floor. Thomas open. Yes. A lot of room for San Antonio shooting.
For Thomas, an excellent pick and pop player. He's not going to roll. He's going to pop.
Peterson forced it. Stojakovic with the tip. Stojakovic, the leading scorer for the Hornets. He has 13. And a timeout call. 22nd timeout taken by Greg Popovich. We're down to 2:24 left in this first half. It's a 48-39 San Antonio lead.
I've told these guys before the playoffs started, I said, CP, this would be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life as far as basketball is concerned. You know, winning in the playoffs is the hardest thing. Physically and mentally, it's the most draining thing. To go up against a champion and trying to dethrone them is going to be the toughest task you've ever had to deal with.
And a slow start for CP. Chris Paul. Tony Parker, 10 points, 3 assists. Paul does have 6 assists, but has not been able to take command. San Antonio's done a pretty good job against him.
Well, you know, and speaking with Coach Greg Popovich, he was talking that they don't mind if Chris Paul scores 35 plus, but it's when he gets everyone else involved is when the numbers and when the Hornets are at their best. So they're going to try to stay with everyone else, and if Chris Paul goes off, so be it.
Shot clock is down to 7. Thomas, rebounded by Peterson. The New Orleans Hornets 56-26 in the regular season. Crowds have been coming out. They've sold out 14 of the last 19 home games, including the playoffs. West. David West, one of the reasons for this success on the part of the Hornets. They now average better than 17,000 a game here in the Big Easy. It's a 7-point San Antonio lead with 1.5 minutes to go in this first half. Parker goes to a second option, and that is number 3 on Chris Paul. 3 fouls on Paul. Right here, let's check in with Ernie Johnson back in our Atlanta studios. Ernie.
Thank you, Marv. Southwest Airlines game break coming up at the half. You'll get analysis from Kenny and Charles on the first half in New Orleans. The Pistons 19-point winners over the Magic tonight. You'll hear from Dwight Howard, who injured his left thumb in that game. And later on inside, complete highlights, locker room talk, and a look ahead to tomorrow's Game 7 between the Hawks and the Celtics. Now back to New Orleans. And Marvin, Reggie, and Hugo.
Yes, Hugo has left the building, I believe. Parker misses on both. But for those of you who may have just joined us, we did have a 19-minute delay with Hugo attempting to go through the ring of fire, and it did not work. And then the cleanup crew came on, and it took quite some time as West was able to hit with the running hook.
Well, it actually worked. He did make
yes,
the dunk.
Got through.
So yes. It did work. It was just putting out the fires that did not work.
Right. They had to clean up the fire extinguisher residual. So now you're supporting Hugo after destroying him earlier.
We got a message here. Hugo wants to be left back into the hive.
Ginobili's pass deflected out. The Hornets looking for a traveling violation on Ginobili. But San Antonio will maintain possession. They have 21 seconds on the shot clock. Let's go to Craig.
Well, Marv, you're talking about at halftime. What has happened is the league office has called down and told the Hornets to cancel all halftime activities, spend the entire 16 minutes cleaning the floor. So that means we will not see the Russian bar, the 2 strong men, and the girl doing the acrobatic stuff. Sorry.
Now, that is a complete report. Thank you, Craig. As Oberto was pushed in holding down that rebound and a foul. It is on Stojakovic. Hornets are over the foul limit, so Oberto will go to the line for Stojakovic. That is his first. Wednesday at 9. Step inside. One very funny house. Don't miss 2 full hours of Tyler Perry's House of Pain. It all starts Wednesday night at 9, 8 Central, only on TBS.
Very funny. I'm going to tell you what else is very funny is the rebounding edge that the Hornets have. They have 25 rebounds. The Spurs only 18. 8 of those coming at the offensive end for the Hornets.
And a foul on Alberto as he and Chandler came together. It's a non-shooting foul.
Free throw here by Alberto. Chandler doing a good job of positioning.
The next foul will put San Antonio over the limit. Here's Thomas coming on for Alberto. 2-second differential between the game clock and shot clock. 6-point San Antonio lead. And the foul is given. It's Hack a Tyson.
Oh my goodness, are we back to this now?
Well, Greg Popovich deciding that Tyson Chandler, a 59% free throw shooter, is worth sending to the line. Tyson does not get to the line very frequently.
Well, he said he's been working on these in anticipation of getting fouled like Hack-a-Shaq and Shaquille O'Neal.
Well, midway through the third quarter, Chris Paul lost control of the ball. My mistake. I thought it was a different highlight coming up. That was the Hack-a-Shaq, which was used against Shaquille O'Neal, who hit only 32 of 64 of his free throws during the series, including 9 of 20 in Game 5.
You know, a lot of people are disgusted with the rule. They don't like it. They think, you know, they should change it. The selection committee, but it's a part of the rule now, and Popovich is going to use it to his advantage.
Coming up on 10 seconds remaining in this first half. And a first half with the Spurs in front of the Hornets 49-45. The High Point men, Bruce Bowen leading the Spurs with 17 on 5 of 8 from the field, all 5 from downtown. And let's go to Craig with Bruce Bowen.
Well, Bruce, great first half. You were scoreless in 4 of the 5 games against Phoenix. What's different for you in this series?
It's a new game. It just so happened that in the Phoenix series it went that way. That's why it's even more important that you stay in the game and understand that it's not about what's taking place at that particular moment. As long as you give them your all, you have to move on to the next round, and that's something I did.
After Hugo the Mascot's Ring of Fire went wrong and you had a 19-minute delay, did that affect you at all or your team, and was the floor in some way slippery here?
Well, it's a situation where it's not just happening to us, it's happening to them also. So you have to understand that you can't come out with any excuses saying the floor is still a little slick, because both teams are playing on the floor. So it's important for us to keep our mindset, keep attacking, and things of that nature.
All right, thanks a lot, and they will clean that floor during the next 16 minutes. We'll take a short break, then we'll send it to our studios in Atlanta, the T-Mobile Halftime Report with EJ, Kenny, and Charles.
It is on to the second half of the Spurs leading the Hornets 49-45, game 1 of this best of 7. A look at Jackson Square in the French Quarters. We welcome you back. Marv Albert along with Reggie Miller. Hornets got off to that fast start. They score the first 8 points of the game. Greg Popovich takes the early timeout, inserts the 6th man of the year, Manu Ginobili, and it all turned around.
Well, I don't know if it was a sense of panic on Popovich's face, but you bring in Manu Ginobili, and of course you're going to get scoring from him. 11 points, 4 of 6 shooting, but it's the 6th assist and getting everyone involved here. Here's Tim Duncan's only field goal, only 3 points in that first half. Then he finds a wide open Tony Parker. But right here, the man on fire, Bruce Bowen, 17 points, getting it done from beyond the arc. But this is something that Popovich is going to have to address. Tim Duncan, your best player, only 3 points in that first half.
Both clubs at 45% from the field. The Spurs 19 of 42, and the Hornets 17 of 38. However, San Antonio with 9 3-pointers, 9 for 17. Tim Duncan just 1 of 6. But Bruce Bowen 5 of 8 from beyond the arc. 17 points in all. The high men for the Hornets, Stojakovic and West, each with 13. Let's go to Craig Sager. Craig.
Well, just moments ago, Eddie Rush was on the telephone with Stu Jackson, Senior Director of Operations for the NBA, from his offices in New York, to make sure everything was done right during halftime and not to start this third quarter until he is totally satisfied that the floor has been completely clean and it will not be slippery for any of these players. As for Hugo, he has not left the building. I was told that he is going to make another appearance in the third quarter, but there will be no dunking and no rings of fire. Super Hugo has been relegated to inferior Hugo. So we'll see what he has in store, Mark.
Amazing how Craig can relate to the mascot.
I get a chilly reception when Hugo comes out here from these Hornet faithful fans.
Here's Parker. One-handed by West. Chris Paul is playing with 3 personal fouls. Third quarter underway here in New Orleans. Peterson for 3. And a loose ball foul. Kurt Thomas called on the foul of David West. So Stojakovic will put it in place. Stojakovic is up front with Chandler and West, Paul and Peterson in the backcourt. Byron Scott with his starting lineup. Now Bowen is defending on Paul. Chandler sets the pick. Here's West, and he's fouled. He was hit by Thomas.
And it's that mid-range game for David West that can set up his off-the-dribble game. Whenever you have a player like Kurt Thomas running at you, it's because he knocks down those 18-foot shots. He's able to put the ball on the floor and get to the rim.
That's 3 on Thomas, and he'll be replaced. Fabricio Oberto was getting set to come on, and then Greg Popovich called him back. West gets the high hop. And Popovich changes his mind. Sent on Robert Horry. It's been an injury hit season for Robert Horry. Mr. Big Shot is ready for the playoffs. You can go to the expanded TNT Overtime on NBA.com and check out Reggie's Mailbag, where Reggie Miller will answer your questions and perhaps make things up that appear to be answering your questions. TNT Overtime on NBA.com, where you can get TNT NBA Thursdays 7 days a week.
Nice offensive rebound there by Robert Horry. Just checked into the game.
Duncan trying to put a move on and draws the foul. He's hit by Chandler.
Tyson Chandler is probably the best low post defender that head coach Byron Scott has to guard Tim Duncan. Right here, Duncan trying to use the glass, his patented shot. Chandler just a little bit too aggressive coming over instead of going straight up.
Tim Duncan in the series against the Suns averaged 25 points, 14 rebounds. He goes all season without a 40-point game and then goes for 40 in that playoff opener against Phoenix, including that dramatic three-point shot.
Well, he goes all season without that three-pointer as well, and when they needed it most, knocks it down in game one in that thrilling double overtime victory over the Suns. And if anything, you mentioned it in the first half, he shot 71% from the free throw line on the season, but only 61% in that first round matchup with Phoenix. He's going to get fouled a lot. He's got to be able to make his free throws.
San Antonio with a 5-point lead. Ball had it knocked aside. Paul with the recovery. Spurs continue to do an excellent job defensively on Chris Paul. And then the foul is called. It's on the Spurs. It's on Bowen. So the Spurs with their third team foul. Stojakovic. He's been doing it off the dribble more frequently tonight.
Well, because he knocked down a couple long-range shots early. Guys are running at him now, and I like the use of that one dribble to clear space for himself.
15 for Stojakovic. Bowen was bet on the switch. Here's Parker for three. Tony Parker does not look for the three frequently, but he has improved the touch from outside, particularly from two-point range.
Well, that's something that really emerged during the playoffs, as it looks like Bowen's going to pick up his second foul, tripping Chris Paul. But this is something that really emerged for Tony Parker during the finals last year. Mike Brown and the Cavs were really playing him for that jump shot, and he really torched them in the finals from long distance and from deep with his outside shooting.
During the regular season, only 17 threes out of 66 attempts, 25% for Parker. Chandler. Tyson Chandler with the running bank. Hornets are now within 4. Chandler 8 points, 10 rebounds. That was deflected out. Stojakovic got a hand on it, so 4 remaining on the shot clock. Here comes Manu Ginobili for Michael Findlay.
And Byron Scott's taking no chances. Every time Tim Duncan catches the ball down low, they're instantly sending a double team to get the ball out of his hand.
Here's Parker. Rebounded by Peterson. West guarded by Horry. And a foul on Horry. So put San Antonio over the limit very early in this third quarter.
And if I'm head coach Byron Scott, I've got to be aggressive for 8 minutes and 22 seconds of this third quarter, putting my head down, trying to get some easy free throws. This is a plus for the Hornets. And like we said, both teams are excellent at not fouling. This is something that the Spurs really aren't used to. A lot of these ticky-tack fouls here in this third quarter, putting the Hornets in the bonus early.
Talk about New Orleans not committing fouls. Only 3 players fouled out all season for the Hornets.
Well, both teams, like we said, are excellent defensively. They both guard the 3, fantastic. Both are great rebounding teams.
The San Antonio lead is down to 2. They've led by as many as 11. Once again, there's the double on Duncan. They get the ball out of his hands. Shot clock to 5. Parker is rejected. It'll be Spurs ball, but only 4 on the shot clock.
Well, Chandler doing a good job after Tony Parker splits the double team of recovering, getting back into play.
Duncan off the spin. And you can see West waited to take it off the rim. Did not want to be called for a goaltend. Duncan is now 1 for 7. The Hornets with a chance to tie or take the lead. Paul with a beautiful feed to West, and the game is tied.
Someone's going to have to step up on Chris Paul on that pick and roll situation.
Assist number 9 for Paul. Bowen for 3. Chandler with the rebound. There's Paul giving it up to West. Looked like he would take it all the way and then decided to reset. Stojakovic. Yes. Hornets 56, the Spurs 54.
Well, David West recognized there was a mismatch down low where Stojakovic and Tony Parker guarded him. Roll the ball over top. Easy shot because Peja has the height advantage.
8-0 run for the Hornets. Here they come off the steal. Paul all the way. The Spurs want to talk it over.
Chris Paul getting it done with his shooting as well as his passing. How nice little dump off to David West. And then in the fast break situation, understand that he has numbers. No one's going to pick him up. Easy lay-in.
The 2008 NBA Playoffs on TNT. Brought to you by Sonic. It's not just good, it's Sonic good. And by Autotrader.com, the ultimate automotive marketplace.
Welcome back to New Orleans, where the Hornets have gone on a 10-0 run to take the lead midway through the third quarter. The NBA cares about the community, and this season the NBA teamed up with the Starkey Hearing Foundation to host hearing missions during Europe Live in Turkey and at NBA All-Star New Orleans. With these events, NBA players and legends were able to change the lives of more than 200 hearing-impaired children around the globe by providing them with the gift of hearing. The Starkey Hearing Foundation is dedicated to promoting hearing health awareness and building better lives for individuals. The NBA, where caring happens.
All right, thank you, Craig. Well, the Hornets have hit their last 5 shots. They've taken a 4-point lead. They've come back from an 11-point deficit. And they've scored, as Craig mentioned, the last 10 points. Ginobili got paddled up, and it's picked off by Paul. Stojakovic for 3. Yes! A 7-point Hornet lead. And as Ori went down low, he took the hit from Stojakovic.
You know, I love the poise that Chris Paul has. And when he came up with that steal, he waited for the Hornets to get numbers. And he really read the floor like a really true point guard does. Found the open man. I know he won't get the assist, but that's how you make sure everyone's in their proper place in the break.
Ginobili, nice fake to draw the foul on Peterson. So the Hornets with a 13-0 run. They've hit their last 6 shots.
And this is one thing you have to do against Ginobili. He's going to give you a series of pump fakes. Will Peterson kind of get caught in the air right there? You've got to stay down when you're playing a player like Ginobili.
Spurs only 8 of 14 at the line. Well, Major League Baseball action returns to TBS tomorrow, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Johan Santana and the Mets go up against Dan Haren on the Red Hot Diamondbacks. Finale of the 3-game series. Arizona 21-9, best record in the major leagues. Chip Carey, Jim Cock will have it all for you. That's tomorrow, 4 o'clock Eastern Time on TBS. Just under 6 to play in this 3rd quarter. Stojakovic, a time of force. Here comes Parker. Ball has to be careful. He stepped away. Did not want to pick up number 4.
Well, he's got 3 fouls, and when you've got Tony Parker coming at you like that, the best thing to do, let him go in for the layup. Chris Paul's more valuable being on the court.
West. Good hustle by Peterson. And he shoots and scores.
Now, this is one thing that Mo Peterson did so fantastic in his days with the Raptors up in Toronto. Offensive rebounding for his position.
Ginobili, it counts, and the foul. He is so good on that continuation. So Mano to the line. The foul on Peterson, his 3rd.
Well, I always wonder why does Manu Ginobili always get to go to his strong hand with his left. Everyone watches the video. People watch tapes. You want to force him right, but he always seems to end up going left. And it's because he's that good.
And he's had a solid game here tonight. That's 15 points. And Mano playing with that jammed left ankle, playing through it. The Hornets now lead 64-60. Paul was balled out 3 of 8 from the field, but he has 9 assists. And he has led this Hornet spurt here in the 3rd. Here's Bowen for 3.
Kind of shot himself.
Paul all the way, and he will head to the line.
Chris Paul really wasn't looking to be aggressive offensively in that first half. Now with this resurgence of the Hornets in this 3rd quarter, offensively looking for his shot a little bit more. And this game is eerily similar to game 1 against the Mavs when they got down big. In that second half, Chris Paul really motivated his team with that energy, starting with the fast breaking.
Hornets now lead by 5. Here's the double again on Duncan. Just flips it up. Trying to draw the foul. He thought he was hit by Chandler. Here comes Paul and then kicks it back out. Stojakovic with no hesitation. That time too strong. And back comes Parker. Parker going at Stojakovic. And as usual, protects the ball so well, keeping it away from the bigger man.
Well, as much as we say Manu Ginobili loves to go left, Tony Parker loves to go right, especially in the fast break situation.
17 for Parker. San Antonio within 3. West. 20 points for David West. Hornets continue to do a terrific job defensively on Duncan. That That shot by Ginobili deflected short.
Because they made him go right. He's not as strong when he goes right.
Shot clock to 7. Stojakovic had a mismatch. Chandler able to put it down.
I don't know why Page is upset. Either he wants the foul or he wants the bucket by Chandler. I would take the bucket and the putback.
10 points, 12 rebounds for Tyson Chandler. Ginobili off the fake. Ori for 3. Back comes Paul. Getting by Ginobili. Getting by Bowen. And is fouled. He went at 3 different members of the Spurs, and then Ori was called for the hack. Wait a moment. Bruce Bowen getting involved. Chris Paul being held back by David West.
And I don't know if Chris Paul was trying to flop a foul, but it looked like Bruce Bowen was trying to speak with official Mike Callahan, and when he came over to speak with him, kind of put his hand on Chris Paul. These two, Bruce Bowen getting suspended earlier. Nice little hip check there by Bruce Bowen, but a nice flop by CP3.
Well, tonight's starting point guards, Chris Paul and Tony Parker, had dominating first-round series. Paul averaging 25 a game, 12 assists, and the Hornets series went over the Mavericks, and Parker putting up just under 30 points plus 7 assists as the Spurs knocked off the Suns in 5. And just a moment ago, you called it a hip check from Bruce Bowen right over here, and then Chris Paul, perhaps a little overacting, went down. And Duncan and Chandler also had some words, but apparently.
And it's only game 1 of round 2. Little chippiness amongst these two teams. And you know, you look at the numbers, and the San Antonio Spurs are 10 of 22 from long distance, and the Hornets are 4 of 7. That's a minus 18 for the Hornets, and you're asking, how are they ahead? Well, they have 5 more offensive rebounds, 10 to 5, and they are plus 13 on the boards, 37 rebounds to 24 for the Spurs. So they're really controlling the tempo that way.
Well, the end result of that was the foul on Bowen that sent Paul to the line. Here's Parker. 19 points for Parker. And the Hornets now lead at 70-64 as we come up on 2 minutes to go in this third quarter. West gets the roll. David West with 22 points. He's come on strong after a slow start.
He's so good going left or right.
Ginobili misfired on the 3. Ball knocked away from Paul.
There's a bad pass exchanged by Chandler to Chris Paul.
There's Parker going at Chandler. It's deflected out. Last touch by Stojakovic. Now Melvin Eli, who played briefly in the first half, comes back for Tyson Chandler. Melvin Eli, in his first season with the Hornets last year, split between Charlotte and San Antonio. Chandler's done a nice job, 10 points, 14 rebounds.
That's a good move by Byron Scott. Take him out. He has 4 fouls to give.
And the ball back to the Hornets.
Bring in Eli, who's the guy who was with the Spurs organization last year, was giving Byron Scott some tips on how to play Tim Duncan as well as Tyson Chandler.
Byron is listening to Melvin Eli.
He was in the organization. He was at practice. I hope he is listening to him. Every advantage you can take.
coming up on a minute remaining in the third. West, yes.
That's nice. This kid is nice. He's a nice young player. Does a little bit of everything. Rebounds, block shots, but offensively, puts you on his hip, face you.
Ginobili. And it looked like that ball was deflected. 17 for Ginobili, a 74-66 lead for the Hornets. Is game one of the best-of-7 Western Conference semifinal. Game 2 here in New Orleans Monday night. We'll have it for you on TNT. West. Half minute left in the third. Ginobili sets up for 3. And Paul lets it go. So the Hornets can set up for a final shot. A Hornet team that went 56-26. 3 years ago, they won only 18 games. They finished as the 2nd seed in the West, jumping from 39 victories a season back. Here's Paul making the turn. Paul off balance, trying to draw the foul, and that will do it for this third quarter. The Hornets 74 and the Spurs 66 as we head to the fourth quarter here in the Big Easy. It's a busy time here in New Orleans. They're hosting the Jazz and Heritage Festival. It's been a 10-day run that concludes tomorrow. An all-star lineup: Stevie Wonder, Billy Joel, the Never Brothers, Tim McGraw, Cheryl Cole, Jimmy Buffett. And we're headed to the fourth quarter just moments ago. Greg Sager talked with Hornets head coach Byron Scott.
Well, Coach, after a tentative first half in which your team was down by as many as 11, they looked far more confident and aggressive in the third quarter. What's been the difference?
Well, just that. You know, Craig, we came out much more aggressive in the third quarter. We talked about at halftime that we look like the old team and they look like the young team. So basically challenged my guys to start putting a little bit more pressure on San Antonio.
Speaking of young teams, fresh faces, David West obviously has grown up this entire year. It appears that he's not intimidated, but rather challenged by Tim Duncan.
Well, he knows how great Tim is, and David wants to be put on that level one day. And, you know, he loves a challenge. He knows that this is the ultimate challenge. And, you know, he was an all-star this year, so he's got a lot of confidence in his ability right now, and he's playing like it. Thank you.
Well, the Hornets, who shot 11 for 20 from the field in the third quarter, opened up with that shot by Gennaro Pargo. Michael Finley hitting the 3 a moment ago for the Spurs, who were only 4 of 15 shooting in the third quarter. Problem with the shot clock. Problem is it has remained at 24, and also apparently a problem with the game clock.
Well, I like that first play out of the third quarter intermission break where Popovich ran a set play for a three-pointer, and normally the Spurs use that play for if they need a 3 in late game situation. It was for a driving kick. Manu Ginobili goes baseline like he's almost falling out of bounds to find a wide open Michael Finley, who gets a brush screen from one of the big players to get a wide open spotted 3 on the opposite corner.
We cannot blame the difficulties with the clock on Hugo the Hornet.
Why not?
Jacques Vaughn, who just checked back in, gets it out to Michael Finley, played by Bonzi Wells. Good defense here by the Hornets. 2 on the shot clock. 1. Vaughn with a beautiful scoop.
And that is the only thing, and the only way that Jacques Vaughn is going to hurt you is by laying. If I'm Chris Paul, you've got to space him and let him take the jump shot.
San Antonio within 5. Here's Pargo. And Vaughn able to come up with it.
One of the matchups that Byron Scott was going to try to take advantage of. Ginobili guarding Pargo. Use his legs a little bit at the defensive end.
Okay, Vaughn got picked off by Eli. Here's West with the catch and shoot. David West. 26 points, 7 rebounds for West.
Doesn't jump particularly high, but he has good hands, he has good length, he's athletic, and he's active.
Nice backdoor pass. Ginobili kicks it back out. Here's Finley from straight away for 3. And a foul. A push called on Thomas.
This is what this league is going to. You want guys that are active, who have good hands. David West, like you said, he can go either way. He can go right and right here. He turns over that left shoulder and uses that left hand. And then he gets into the lane with his left hand and uses his offhand. And then right here, he can face you up, makes a little bit, takes you off the dribble, a little fade away. And this is what I like. 3 straight times off the dribble, gives you a little jab fake, pull up for the 15-footer. Very versatile.
Foul on Thomas, number 4. He sits down, replaced by Tim Duncan. So a brief rest for Tim. Here's West. And he is on fire. 28 points. He's 12 for 21. And this is after that slow start. Albert, Reggie Miller, Craig Sager were in New Orleans. Duncan trying to go back door. The ball was slapped away from Ginobili.
Are they calling a foul or just the ball out of bounds? The ball's out of bounds for the Spurs.
And now Brent Barry makes his first appearance of the game, coming on for Manu Ginobili. Tony Parker back for Jacques Vaughn. 10 on the shot clock. Duncan is only 1 of 8 from the field. Finley, yes, hit a 3 to open up this 4th quarter. Michael Finley with 10 points. 80-73 Hornets. Bonzi Wells showing us the touch. Duncan makes the move on his former teammate, Melvin Ely, who's called for the foul. A timeout is called by San Antonio. David West, 12 for 21, 28 points. He's the high man of the game.
Good job, good job, good job, good job. Let's get a stop, let's go. Let's get a stop, B, let's go. Hey, Manu, don't shoot no more. Don't pass either. I take that back. Pass the ball.
Manu Ginobili ignoring the Coach of the Year, Byron Scott.
I don't know if he was ignoring him. He just refused to acknowledge what he was saying. Marvelous.
Just under 9 minutes to play. In the 4th quarter, the Hornets have an 82-73 lead on the defending NBA champion San Antonio Spurs. Duncan lost it. Once again, he was met by the double. The Hornets continue to do a superb defensive job on Tim Duncan.
1 of 8, woeful game. Really hasn't found his rhythm.
Here's Wells. And Alberto gets to it. Finley's have the hot hand. Alberto rejected. David West doing it in every category.
Well, we know what he's done at the offensive end. Watch David West here. Alberto has a step on him. Nice recovery by D. West, sending it out to the applause of Hilton Armstrong.
Shot clock to 5. And a foul as Wells and Eli try to double team. Foul on Bonzi, that's his second.
You know, when we had a chance to speak with both head coaches, Greg Popovich was really worried about the Hornets and that 3-point shooting. Well, really, roles have been reversed with the Spurs knocking down long range. The Hornets only 4 of 7 from long distance.
Was Parker on a delay. Hornets felt they had him tied up, but a foul is called. And the foul is on Eli.
Here, look at Tony Parker getting into the lane right there, and Eli's like, wait a minute, should be a jump ball. I had control just as much as he did.
Parker just 2 of 4 at the line. Programming reminder, national coverage of the NBA playoffs continue tomorrow on ABC. Game 7 of the Hawks and the Celtics. And what a surprising series that has developed into. Followed by game 1 of the Jazz and the Lakers starting 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time Monday here on TNT. A couple of game 2s, the Magic and Pistons, followed by game 2 between the Spurs and Hornets starting at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And playoff action continues on ESPN on Thursday. And Tim Duncan is very upset as the foul was called on Alberto.
Well, he thought that David West as well as Alberto kind of got tangled together. And you gotta remember, this is kind of what West and Dirk Nowitzki kind of got into it in that first round series with Dallas, with the little love tap that David West put on Dirk Nowitzki, tapping his cheek. As some people say, maybe Dirk walked into his fingers.
Yes. Eli with the rebound. Wells on the follow. Bonzi Wells. He's done a good job off the bench. Hornets now lead by 9. Blocking foul on Pargo. Pargo his first, and team foul number 4 on New Orleans. It's a non-shooting foul. Parker got the step. It's 23 for Parker.
Really nice game for Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili. Bruce Bowen got off to that fantastic first half with 17 points. Hasn't scored a point since. Been relegated to the bench.
Wells. So Bonzi Wells, 4 of 6 from the field. He has 8 points. Good hands by Paul. Paul with the lead for Wells. Paul with the rebound, rejected by Alberto. And ends up out of bounds. It'll be Hornets ball.
And Chris Paul could not have set up Bonzi Wells any better right here. Nice alley-oop. Wells just mistimed it. Paul comes down with the rebound and kind of gets it rejected by Alberto out of bounds.
Nice return. Beautiful touch pass. Wells now with 10 off the bench. Hornets lead by 11.
Well, that was one of my keys at the start of the game, was how was this bench going to react against the veteran-led defending champs San Antonio Spurs.
And as Duncan makes his move, he's blocked by Eli. So the Hornets are over the foul limit, and Duncan will head to the line.
Well, I question if Tim Duncan isn't too spent from that first-round series against the Phoenix Suns. He was predominantly guarded by Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille runs 360, and that's a lot of wear and tear. He put up some fabulous numbers in that first-round series, a 40-point game. He averaged almost 15 to 16 rebounds in that series, and I don't know if he's not a little bit tired, emotionally drained from that first-round series.
Duncan is 3 of 5 at the line. San Antonio just 12 for 20 at the free throw line.
Struggles continue for Tim Duncan. 61% on these playoffs from the free throw line.
West with the step, and the ball's knocked away. Last touch by West. Good play by Alberto. San Antonio Spurs, 56 wins during the regular season. Same record as The Hornets 56-26. Here's Finley. Good box out by West. Paul able to get down court in a hurry. Paul for three. We're down to 5.5 to play in the fourth. Ginobili for three. Alberto pops it right back to Parker. Here's Finley from downtown. Michael Finley. He has 13 points. Byron Scott takes a timeout. So Finley has provided a lift for the Spurs here in the fourth quarter. The Hornets up by 8. We'll be back to the Crescent City in a moment.
The 2008 NBA playoffs on TNT. Brought to you by the Hyundai Sonata, 2009sonata.com. By Panasonic Viera. It's time for some Viera time. By T-Mobile, the official telecommunications partner of the NBA. T-Mobile, stick together. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Back in New Orleans, let's take a look at the upcoming schedule presented by KFC. Check out the rest of this best of 7. Game 2 here in the Big Easy on Monday night. We'll have it for you on TNT. Game 3 Thursday at San Antonio. And then Game 4 a week from tomorrow in San Antonio. 5 minutes, 11 seconds to play in the fourth quarter.
Well, right now, Popovich has to hang his hat on his defense. They've been brilliant all year. It's only an 8-point deficit here.
Bowen is back on Paul. Shot clock to 4. Wells off the recovery. And on the back tap attempt, a foul is called. It's on the Spurs.
Well, it might have looked like it was a zone out there, but they were not going to let Bonzi Wells go one-on-one against Michael Finley.
Foul on Duncan. Stojakovic. They clear it out against Ginobili. Stojakovic with a floater. He has 22 points. The Hornets back up by 10.
And that's what he used to do in his younger days when he was with the Sacramento Kings. Nice little sweep through, little teardrop on the baseline.
Here's Finley for 3. Pulled down by Ginobili and stripped. Scott going with Paul and Pargo in the backcourt. Pargo launches for 3. Good box out by Finley. Just under 4 minutes to play in this fourth quarter. Duncan. One of those nights for Tim Duncan. 1 for 9 from the field, only 5 points.
Well, that was going to be a point of emphasis for head coach Byron Scott and the Hornets. Either they were going to double team him up early so he does not get his rhythm. Still hasn't found it.
Here's Paul banking it home. 10 points, 12 assists for Chris Paul. And the Hornets have their biggest lead of the game. And as Duncan makes his move, a defensive 3-second violation called on New Orleans.
Wells kind of got caught in the middle. Should I go double him early, but he's getting ready to make his move. He doesn't have his rhythm. Maybe I don't need to come. Mike Callahan whistles. Defensive 3-second.
Ginobili now 2 of 4 at the line. And among the many problems for the Spurs tonight, their work at the foul line, 12 for 21. San Antonio in possession. Here's Ginobili to the crossover. What a move, going right to left and hitting the running hook. Hornets up by 10 with 2:45 remaining in this game one of their best-of-7 Western Conference semifinal series. Paul, yes. So Chris Paul hits 2 big buckets down the stretch, and then a look in the direction of Bruce Bowen. He felt that Bowen had knocked him down.
Well, and Bruce Bowen is saying he did the scissor kick as he was going up for his shot, and that's the reason why the contact happened right there.
All right, Reggie, time for the Marines teamwork. Play of the game.
Boy, head coach Greg Popovich wanted to make Chris Paul a scorer tonight. Well, he has 12 assists, but he's gotten everyone else involved. David West, 2 of his 28 points. Peja has 22. Bonzi Wells off the bench has 10 points. So this is what this young point guard has done, not only for this city, but for his team. Has gotten spread the wealth and gotten everyone involved.
And as we mentioned earlier, Greg Popovich telling us that Chris Paul turns the game into an organized playground. No one is better than doing that. He takes complete control, and it's his game. He got off to a slow start. He has not shot well, but has had a superb game. And you saw Paul knock it away, comes up with a steal, leads the break. West with the finish. It's a career playoff high. 30 points for David West. Hornets open up a 14-point lead.
Chris Paul's 13th assist of the night. Another double-double.
Parker stripped by Pargo. Good play by Pargo. 3-on-2 led by Paul. Spinning around Bowen and draws the foul. You get the idea. He was saving that move for Bruce Bowen.
Well, we talk a lot about Tony Parker being a one-man fast break and putting a lot of pressure on your transition defense. Look at Chris Paul right here. Nice little and one Rucker move. I'm sure you can appreciate that, Marvelous. And almost breaking the ankles of Bruce Bowen here.
All part of that organized playground that Greg Popovich said was his major concern. So Bowen on the foul. And as you'd expect, much support here for Chris Paul for the MVP vote.
I remember we were speaking with Byron Scott, and we talked about you played with a pretty good point guard in Magic Johnson and how he kind of compared Magic to the way his thinking is to Chris Paul about a lot of times we've got to tell him to be more aggressive offensively, a lot like we used to tell Irvin, because Irvin wanted to get everyone involved and make sure everyone's happy. There's times that you've got to be aggressive offensively.
Speaking of being aggressive, Paul able to fly to that rebound. And now plays the clock. A very impressive effort here by Chris Paul, David West, and these young New Orleans Hornets. Paul with another spectacular goal.
And he froze the defense when he went between his legs. That's why the alley opened up right there.
And Greg Popovich has emptied his bench. Damon Stoudemire has come on. He's in the backcourt now with Jacques Vaughn. Paul with the steal.
Pad your stats, young fella. Pad your stats.
101-82 Hornets. And the trend continues. They split the 4 games during the regular season. And the 2 wins for the Hornets over the Spurs have been blowouts. Here's Barry for 3. Ryan Bowen, who just came on, able to come down with that rebound. They're on their feet, standing ovation here in New Orleans. Stoudemire poked it away, recovered by Bowen. And he fires with the shot clock running down. Rebounded by the Hornets. It's kept alive by Julian Wright. So the New Orleans Hornets with a convincing opening victory over the San Antonio Spurs. There is a 2-second differential. So Paul will just dribble it out, take the shot clock violation. So game 1 of this Western Conference semifinal series goes to the Hornets, 101-82. A very long night for Tim Duncan, who equals a playoff career low, just 1 of 9 for 5 points. David West with 30. Peja Stojakovic with 22. And Chris Paul finished with 17 points and 13 assists. How about the Spurs? Only 33 points in the second half. And this capacity crowd of better than 18,000 filing out. They've been standing for most of the fourth quarter, celebrating this New Orleans Hornets victory. Let's go to Craig with David West.
Oh, David, you look at the scoreboard, 101-82. It makes it sound like it's an easy game. Yet at halftime, your coach said, guys, you look like the old, tired team. What changed in that second half, and how did you pick up the pace so easily?
You know, we just came out with a lot more energy. You know, they were beating us to loose balls, and there's no excuse for that. You know, we got the fresher legs, the younger legs, and we want to be the aggressor the entire series.
Although you aren't individually matched up all the time with Tim Duncan, you have a career playoff high with 30. He has a career playoff low of 5. What are you guys doing as a team to disrupt his game?
You know, we just don't want to give him any easy looks. You know, we know he's one of the best players in the league. When he catches the ball, you know, 2-3 feet from the basket, we're just going to have guys running at him the entire series.
Your locker room began with Byron Scott showing the team his 3 championship rings. What was your impression? What effect did that have on you?
Well, we know Coach is a winner. You know, he's been a winner his whole life, and he's just trying to make sure that we get a winner's mentality. You know, we're chasing these guys. For the past couple of years, we've been trying to build to what they have. You know, close the gap with these guys, and we feel like over the course of the season, we've been able to do that.
All right, thanks a lot. Great game. Let's go back to Myra.
All right, Craig, career night for David West. In his 5th year out of Xavier of Ohio, the Hornets with a 101-82 win over the defending NBA champion, San Antonio Spurs. You're watching TNT, the exclusive home of the Western Conference Finals. So for Craig Sager, Reggie Miller, I'm Marv Albert saying good night from the arena in New Orleans. Now we take you to our studios in Atlanta for Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, Charles Barkley,